It was horrible. Just like being ill is horrible, but when you're in a hotel, that's really bad. And when you're about to do a show with one of your heroes, and you're like, "Oh, it's coming out. Oh, it's still coming out."
I just want to finish on a bit of just because it's so popular. Everyone loves you in Afterlife.
Oh, that's
mate.
nice. Yeah, that was fun. That was very fun to do. No, please ask. I feel I'm ruining. This is the worst one. Oh God! Please don't be the worst episode. Oh God! These cameras aren't on, are they?
I'll ask it.
You're clearly saving me.
Go on.
After oh God, I can't do it now. Afterlife is on.
It's all gone a bit meta, isn't it?
Yeah. Now I feel very presentery.
Yeah, go on. Do it, relax.
Yeah, I'll chill out.
Caused this. Sorry.
That's all right. So Afterlife is one of the biggest Netflix shows of all time.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I didn't put congratulations.
That was from me.
Yeah.
That was an advert.
I didn't write it.
How did it come to be that you landed a role in that?
I'll tell you exactly how it happened. I'm sure Ricky won't mind. He said, Ricky phoned me up and said, can you do me a favour? Can you play a postman in my new show? And I was like, yeah, of course I can. All right, I'll get someone to email you. End of story.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Can you do me a favour?
Yeah. I was like, yeah, of course. He goes, yeah. And I was like, all right, someone will email you the dates and that. I was like, okay, thank you. So, yeah.
It's fucking incredible, isn't it?
I was hoping to get an 8-minute clip out of that one.
Yeah, we can keep it going. So you didn't have to. Well, next question. So you didn't have to audition for something like that.
No, Rick. I got to know Ricky did Derek. Maybe I don't know how long ago. Probably about 10, 12 years ago, something like that. Which David was in, and everyone was really funny in. And he, me and David were writing. Had started writing together, and Ricky saw, which I have said to other people, like if you make something good and put it on that, then it was sort of like less like now everyone does lots of stuff online, but then not so much. And we did these little videos, and Ricky saw them, and that's how I got Derek basically. And he said to David, "Oh, I'm thinking of using this guy Joe Wilkinson to play your brother." Like your worst brother, basically.
Yeah.
And David was like, "Oh well, that's who I write with," and that's how I did Derek. And then off the back of that, Ricky's really likes using people that he trusts and can kind of improvise and whatever. So it was kind of, I'd done other stuff with him, so and I'd got to know him and become friends. So it wasn't as kind of mad as it sounds. But he had that new show and I'd done something that he thought would work, like he was like, "Oh, a sort of similar thing or something." And he said, "Oh, can you, would you be up for doing it?" And like, it sounds madder now because I didn't, you don't know if a show's going to take off or people like are going to like something. So like it could easily have just gone under the radar, and no one ever seen it, but it just happened to go effing bananas. So. But that's what Ricky does. That's what's really nice about Ricky with these things. He sort of uses a lot of the same people, and he sort of gives, gave me this little chance, this other thing, and then this other thing, and blah blah blah. And so so that's how it came about. But
do you get nervous with things like that?
Yeah, look, when I not so much on Afterlife because I felt by that time I didn't really sort of have to prove myself then. But when you sort of have to prove yourself on a new thing, it's really hard sometimes going on a set as I don't know what they call it when you go for one ep, like cameo.
Right, yeah.
Because everything's settled and everyone knows what they're doing and it's your first day, but it's their 20th day.
Right.
So they're really in the kind of rhythm of it or whatever. So that's quite intimidating. And when I did Derek, I was quite nervous because I didn't know Ricky and obviously I was a massive fan. But me and David went out for dinner the night before, and I got what's the one that comes out both ends?
Diarrhea.
The virus that made everything come out. Nora, yeah.
Jeez.
I got the Nora virus.
The night before filming.
The night before. So I said, I said, oh, I feel really ill. I feel a bit shit. I'm going to go back to the hotel. And I was ill for, I don't know if you had it. It was just endless, like all night in a hotel. And I was getting to like, looking at my clock thing going on my phone going, now it's 2 and I've got to be up at 6:30. Now it's 3 and I haven't.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling.
Now it's 5. And then it got to 6 o'clock and that's when I could phone someone. I said, look, I am in a terrible way. And they were really lovely. And I went home, but I'd had all that adrenaline of all night going, shit, oh my God. And then they were really sweet. And I came back like 2 weeks later. But that was my first, it was horrible. Just like being ill is horrible. But when you're in a hotel, that's really bad. And when you're about to do a show with one of your heroes and you're like, oh, it's coming out. Oh, it's still coming out.
Yeah.
This is bad. This is really bad. But they were really sweet. And weirdly, they drove me all the way from like East London to home. And I was in the car driving through London and I'll never forget it. there was a guy stood outside the window who was a mate of mine. And obviously, any other day, I was in like a Merc or something, I'd work out the window and go, oh, it's Stu. It'd be like, of course I would.
Yeah.
I felt so ill. He just stood there. And it was like, I've known him for years and I didn't wind the window down. I felt so ill. I was like, get me out of here.
I thought that story's going to end up you had the shits and whatnot, and you still did the.
Yeah.
No.
I thought this guy's a fucking.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not a hero. I was very clear about that in all my email. Don't expect above and beyond.
So I was going to say, with Ricky's shows, how much of it are you reading off a script? How much of it are you improving?
It's scripted, and then there's mucking about as well. So it's sort of, it's like where I always read about these American films, like the Will Ferrell films, where they do the scene that's written and then a muckabout version because they have lots of money and lots of time. We don't get as much of that over here, I don't think. But with Ricky, he does find time to mess around and improvise, and that's great. And if it's, I think from talking to Ricky, it's like, because he's done, obviously, he used a lot of people, and it's like some people love it, some people absolutely hate it. Some like actors, I think maybe because that's why he uses a lot of comedians. I think they're more comfortable. Maybe maybe it's a huge generalization, but like happier to sort of on the fly.
Do you prefer that?
I like it. I really like it. I think it's great fun, and it's but it's quite rare for like Ricky's. More people stick to scripts. Some people they write their script and it's like the beats of it are already written. There's no like changing a single word. Myself, it's like if someone says, "Oh, can I like the turn of phrase is tricky? Can I?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what?" And then change stuff. And some people are like, no, it's like there's the pause, and so after you say that word, like there's a pause, and so that there's real sort of extremes of it. And I get all of them really, and all of the different types of things. When people are exact, it's quite scary though, because you kind of you said if and it's of, and you're like,
oh damn,
oh god, again.
For something like Afterlife, then, what sort of percentage of what we see on the screen is as scripted or is improv?
Oh, it's hard. It's hard to sort of remember, like, because you do a take that's sort of as is and then muck around. But I'd say like 70-30 is sort of 30 is improvised. But then there's whole scenes where he knows that he just wants to get like to show the relationship, so he wants you to sort of play for the whole thing. Like, I mean, there was one scene which was like there was just one conceit, you know what I mean, and everything else was around it. I just need this one bit of information out and just like play with that. So some of it is like there is no lines at all, but then some of it, like especially my stuff, is because it's quite gaggy. The gag's already sort of written.
Would you write your lines for that? Or would they be written for?
Ricky writes the script, but then we play around on top of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he'll like go, and now, like Ricky will just sort of throw an idea at you, like, ask if you can kiss her or whatever, and then, Roshin or Diana or whoever will just sort of react to that and, in character and stuff.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah.
And Ricky's stuff's fun. It's really fun. Like, you know, it's obviously a serious job, but
Mm.
it's, you know, really good fun.